Hi. Okay, so what I wanted to do today is to show you the process of contour line drawing. Also the same process for blind drawing, which is the process of seeing intentionally with focus. Okay, so I will do it with Photoshop. I have a picture of the skull that we used for the other videos last time, but this time I'm gonna superimpose digitally a line that I will draw with the line moving at the pace of my gaze. Okay, so we will see when we can go kind of fast, when the line is not too complicated, or when we have to slow down because all of a sudden our eyes are getting lost in these myriads of little crevices of a human skull. So hopefully this one should clear really how to blind drawing, how to contour drawing, how to see. So let's get going. I will switch and I'm going to share my Photoshop with you. There it goes. Okay. Okay, so pretend that this is just the subject that you have to draw. And let me find a mark making that's going to be good enough. Let me see if I have a line sensitivity. Can I go light, hard? No, I have to turn on the pressure sensitivity on my tablet. Pressure sensitivity. Let's do it. I like this one. Let's see. Okay, so this one gives me from thin to thick, but not really from light to dark. So let me see if I have another one. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Much better. Okay. Out of curiosity, do I have one that gives me both? Wouldn't that be nice? I would like one that gave me also thickness, but this should suffice. Okay. So the first thing to understand is the entry point, meaning out of all this image, where do you want to start? You want to start from the eye, the nose, the mandible. Which part of the skull is gonna look interesting for you to start? I would say normally find one that's gonna give you like an easy entry. Okay, so anything there's a detail. So for instance, we can just start from the orbit of the eye. And let's see, I'm on a different layer, so I'm not gonna contaminate my picture. I could also dim this one, but only if I need it. Let's see. So let's say that I start, so this is my entry point right here. Already I'm gonna have an issue. Do I wanna go up the figure, the subject? I'm sure I go up, or should I start going down? So we will notice that pretty much at every bifurcation of the road, we will have to make a decision. Okay, I'm gonna make this one, I'm gonna put it down to maybe, let's do 70% about. Okay, so I can see the mark a little bit better. Okay, so let's say that I'm gonna start from the orbit, and this is oops, I'm gonna be on this layer. So here I'm gonna go dark because it is inside a dark area. And maybe if I start seeing nuances, I can follow it. So here we already have a problem, or let's call it a possibility of changing direction. Let me make this look a little smaller. So I could go, I could go up here and follow this form that way, or I could have gone down here and start following that direction. Obviously, I see other possibility. If you notice, I could have gone in any of those directions. And so how do we pick a direction? That is sort of really what makes blind drawing beautiful, because depending on where you go, you're going to be able to address and analyze details. But then at times, especially in a blind drawing, you're going to forget what you missed to analyze. And you might have a drawing of a skull with a missing orbit or a missing nose, or missing most of the teeth. So let me go back and let's say that we were following my first line. I can go a little less dark. This line that I'm following separates shadow from light. So what we saw earlier is that with the line, we can describe different aspects, okay, we can use this contour line. And it could be for plane changes. It could be for a difference between light to dark. So a contour line normally follows the edge of a shape, okay, to describe a three-dimensional form, and we want to move from one side of the form across to the other side, passing through the details inside. So let's say here, for instance, I could jump to this crevice in the bone to go find the continuation of the shadow, but that wouldn't be correct. I could go down this way. I could go up this way, although the information it's less. But if I go down this way, then I could go up that way, or I could go down this way. And you start thinking, the only thing I want to avoid is I want to get stuck. I don't want to do this. Look, let's say that I'm following my orbit, and then all of a sudden I am back where I started, and now this line is going to double up. That you don't want to do that. Okay, don't. Try to keep the line moving and open, and also not to overlap. So back. Oh, actually, let me show you a little game that I was showing your other student. If you ever seen pretty much this kind of game that we used to do as a kid, you want to build a house in which the lines, see, this one got stuck. I need to find also this line. So at the end, I want a shape that looks like this. Okay, but I cannot overlap lines. I cannot go back on a line twice. So let's try another one. Oh, got stuck again. Let's try another one. Let me start from, let's see what happens here. Okay, that works. There is several different way of doing this. This is a fun little exercise. Boy, I think we were doing this in like middle school back in the 90s. In Italy. I don't know if you had this in the States, but it's a fun way. Oh yeah, look at that. There was another one. Okay, so think of this kind of idea, right? So in the skull we have a nose, one orbit, another orbit, a bunch of teeth, right? And I have to figure out how to make this with just one swoop. So for instance, let's start from this eye. I'm gonna get this eye. I'm gonna go down to the nose. Maybe then I'm gonna start counting teeth. I'm gonna go back up here, find the other orbit, back to the skull. All right, you understand what I'm talking about, right? So this kind of idea, I want to have a clear entry point and a clear exit point. Okay, so I want the viewer to be able to understand what was the journey. So it's like, oh yes, I see it. He went in from this and he came out from this side, and you can follow the whole journey. Okay, so that's what we are doing on a much more interesting and artistic scale. Oops. Come on. Okay, so from here, I'm going to go up, light. This information is in the dark. I'm gonna find my eyes, I'm gonna move around this form. And as it will come back out, I'm gonna take this one. I'm gonna finish this, maybe go here. Maybe I decide to come back. But see, I would avoid to go straight on the same image. I just noticed some information that gives me some of those porosity in the bone that give me that sense of that volume of that cylinder. Okay, there is a cylinder here that's doing this, and here is doing that. Okay, so I want to describe that information. Maybe go back here and like, oh, I like this is interesting. I always look for those guys. Then maybe I'm gonna find a way out. Here, keep it very light. I'm gonna try to see, let your eyes find those forms. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to see. But if you do see them, take them, right? Okay, so from here, I could go down that way. I could go down this way and then take care of the nose, or can go back up. Oops, let's keep it. I could go back up and then and go and develop that the temporal bone passing for the zygomatic bone and the zygomatic arch. So let's go this way. Start seeing things. This is quite dark. I'll take it. Then maybe I'll try to get my way back up. So if your eyes gets as you're watching the subject, oops, I just noticed that I drew on the skull, oof, for a long while. So let me go back. I'm sorry. Oops. Okay, so from here, let's go back. And most likely I'm not going to remember where I went. So this is great. I'll just follow one path for a few minutes, and I'm gonna just not talk anymore, so you can enjoy my thinking process. And then ask yourself, is like, would have you gone the same way, or you would have took another path? But let your eyes guide you. If your eyes look at the difference in thickness, here is nicer and dark because I see that's getting darker, and that's an important shape. If you happen to know that you're going back pretty much on the same line, just change it. Make sure that it's not right overlapping on top. You want to make it as different as possible. Let the eye decide where you're going. So the pen, the hand is just following the journey that the eye is taking. As we said, a blind drawing or a blind drawing, it is not the product, is the result of the process of seeing. And so that frees you from the idea of the problematic of having a beautiful drawing. No, the drawing is going just to be the witness of your seeing process. So sometimes, though, you do get beautiful drawings out of a blind drawing, and all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I'm gonna save that one. It's just too pretty. So as your eyes is exploring all those different forms and volumes, let them work, and keeping your mind always a way out, right? So here, I could go down that way, or I could have gone that way. Let me zoom out. And so when I'm doing a blind drawing, as I'm approaching a big bifurcation, I already think of what it's my plan. And I think strategically, as I'm following the detail, my brain doesn't need to really think much. I'm just following the lines. So I can multitask and start thinking ahead a little bit. So as I go here, wrapping here, I'm already thinking like, should I go right and then down, or I can go right and come back up this way? Or if I go left, and then would I go up in order to investigate this other eye and then work my way out to close the whole form? Or I could have gone left and then down and then follow the jaw that way. So any of those is valid. So you just have to pick one. In this case, I kind of like the idea of they're all interesting. I think let's go with the easy path. So I will go this way down. So I was here, and also I could have wrapped around this way, and just it happens. So I'm gonna just let it happen. In a blind drawing, you can expect for, I don't like that. Don't do that. That was because I mean, it's not really a blind drawing because I see what I'm drawing. But mentally, I wouldn't, one, remember if this was already taken care of. Oh, this line is going down here. I was like, how that line came about? So often enough, those things don't really line up, and they're fine. We're gonna see examples of out of proportion drawing. In a blind drawing, proportion is really proportion. It is not what we worry about at all. It's the detail that we are interested in. Okay, so I took a different route, but I ended up pretty much at the same spot that I would have gone. And trying to not to stay too long on the contour, on the outside edge of the form. Find any excuse to go back in. So maybe when I'm here, I'm gonna find some of those details to try to convey the volume, or to make it interesting for the drawing per se. You can follow texture, right? Or you can follow differentiation of planes or light. This minutia of texture, you probably wouldn't see it if you didn't have such an up-close image. And so now I'm kind of not stuck, but I'm going that direction. My plan initially was to come down here, and well, it just didn't happen. That is fine. That is fine. Just let those drawings develop. And the fun thing is you can do 10 drawings, one after another, of the same school in the same position. And all of a sudden you find out that you have, 10 different drawings, completely different. So where am I gonna go here? Do I wanna go all the way up? Or maybe I found that this way might be interesting. If I go this way, I might not be able to refine this edge. Okay, so maybe if I go this way and then I come down, and then I can sort of analyze that and then go back. That could be probably a better idea. So I'll do that. Blind drawing really at the end is the more you do, the more you have fun with them, the more they come out beautiful, the more the journey to do makes sense for the drawing, and that really is going to be your unique style. No two blind drawings, they're going to be the same between you with the same subject, right? But also with other student. Impossible, because that thinking process is just oh pretty. I'm gonna just sort of show that um, this movement of that the of the bone is like a big cylinder that's coming this way. And so I took a little excuse to describe it. That might get me in trouble, but it's all experimental, and you just let it happen. Okay, so you can go. At this point, you would not. Don't be surprised if you're missing a whole chunk of details. It's fine, right? It's still gonna read as a skull. Doesn't matter the distortion. Oops. I don't want to interrupt the line. I don't like to overlap like that if I can help it for the sake of the drawing. So I'm going to just cross through it. Okay, so here I could go down or just remember that little home that we just drew, right? I think I'm going to go this way. And in here, look at the chaos of those teeth. We can go find the teeth like this line, but if I close it, it's going to, let me zoom in. So here you have to get creative to make something that's gonna look good. So I can go this way. Maybe I can go up and then come back down. And then I see some variations on those teeth. Probably here I would make the pencil more, I would put it on the edge more pointy and lighter. Don't be afraid of like jumping back and forth. Actually, that's gonna make it more interesting. I'm gonna show you a couple of examples. I did a blind drawing yesterday and a couple of blind drawings yesterday for the class, and we're gonna superimpose them about the same perspective of the school. So it really is gonna clear things up. They were a lot faster because I was live, so I had students with questions, and I wanted to cover a lot more ground. And today I'm taking like a lazy Friday off, and I decided to actually have this video to make sure that you guys understand it because it's really an interesting process. It's fantastically useful to learn to draw and to see. So I really wanted to make sure that I gave you a chance of understanding it. And I think this is a very useful experiment with this Photoshop to show you what the gaze look like as it moves through that form. I see all those things. This one you can investigate them as you like. You can make them lighter, darker. Um, there is not really a selection of forms that you have to investigate. Let the eye, let your eye find them for you, right? So all of a sudden it's like, oh, look at that. What happened there? Let me go check that out. And it's like, oh, here. And sometimes you're gonna have you're gonna miss teeth, you're gonna have more teeth. Just let that happen. That's not important. As long as you let the information that you see speak and be imprinted on that paper. Again, this Zoom is it's not on Thursday, I'm on a Friday, so you did not miss it. Okay, I know I'm gonna be some student that's gonna feel like, when did I miss that Zoom? You didn't. I just decided to do it here to get you guys an opportunity of improving those homework. So at this point, it's possible, which I do because I'm looking at school. I don't remember how much I finish off the cranial box. Okay, that's about complete. The eyes, the orbit. Do I have all the information? So that could be your finished drawing. Right? At this stage, it's like, oh, dang it, I missed like quite a bit of information on that mouth. And you call it good, or maybe you are aware of where you at, or this is not a blind contour drawing, is just a contour drawing in which you can take a peek where you are located. So you took a break, you come back, and it's like, I left it here, you go back there, and it's like, I have to somehow reach up there. And I'm not gonna do a jump that dramatic, right? Because that line is gonna be a little too obvious. So I have to find a path that sort of guides me there. Okay, so I am kind of stuck here. So maybe, let's see, I see there is some investigation could be done here. Can I sneak up there and go get a tooth? I'm sure can. Can I go back this way and then try to climb this? That's a little more tortuous. Let's go this way. Let me touch where I was. I use the cross contour there. You notice there was really no somewhere to attach for me, and I just decided to jump using a cross contour, meaning giving the volume its personality, or describing the volume. Those plane changes, every time you see a light to dark, it's because there is a difference in plane. Here we feel that movement. For the jaw, we see it. So I'm going to emphasize it. I'm going to tell you like, oh, did you notice that there is a nice rounded part here? Pretty much that's what we're doing. A separation of plane there, another separation of plane. Okay, let's see how it looks like this. Okay. Okay, so now let's say this was a finished drawing. We could have darkened up some areas to make it more impactful, more decisive. Oh, I wish I took that line here. You see that one? That one would have been pretty, because I would have speak along with that, but that's fine. Oops, let me get it out. Okay. And this one really, I wish I started a little lower, maybe that way. Okay, so what I was saying though, as a drawing finish, yes, my eyes went through a lot of details, found a lot of information, but it's a little hard to read. To make this more readable, what I could do is, let me show you, I'm gonna duplicate that layer. Okay, so I have two layers that they're the same. And then I'm going to erase from the top layer the part that could be lighter. So I'll make the bottom layer less. And you cannot really do this with charcoal, okay? But what it does is give you a sense of where could I darken up my lines, where could I leave them darker or lighter, and it would make it the form read better. Let's see what we have here. So for sure, I want to keep the zygomatic bone, all those details inside. Let's make it much lighter. With the charcoal, you have a lot more control. Well, I have a lot more control with charcoal than with a digital pen because I didn't grow up with one. With you guys, that might be the opposite. Maybe you've been working with digital pens a lot more than with charcoal. At that point, it's like, well, you can control that better. Okay, so I'm trying to have this form to read a little stronger. Okay, but pretty much that is the process. Let the gaze follow the subject. Now, let's look at some of the blind drawings so you have an idea of the disproportion that happens with the blind drawing. So let me just find them a second. Give me a second to find the folder where they are. Okay. Let me see. Okay. So much more disproportion, but we can clearly read the orbit, the nose, an attempt to the teeth, right? So those are the temporal bone right here, the separation of the temporal bone, the condyle process of the mandible. I mean, it is fun to look at those drawings and it's like, let me see if I can follow the view. Let me open another one. This one was done with a underdrawing. So you see that those lines that they're light underneath there, that's bind charcoal, just to get the proportion. And then I went with a contour line, one continuous line, but it was not blind. So I was looking at the skull and I was looking at the underdrawing and I was overlapping the two. But this does the same sense of a drawing that is the most important aspect, the focus of the draftman is on the details. Let me see, I should have another one. There was a blind drawing. Yes, this one. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, so this was pretty much blind. And here is the starting point. So let's see if we can follow this journey. Let me get an highlighter. Let's see how. Not with that. Let's do maybe multiply. Okay. So the starting point was I think I went up this way. Anyway, you have the video of this one that was on Zoom. So I went down to the brow ridge, the orbit of the eye, the zygomatic bone. And here I think I went down, either I went this way, the line, I should go check the video, or yes, I think I did this way, came back. Or did I start there? And then, boy, I should go to recheck the video. But let's say that was down this way, that way. Here's like analyzing all the teeth. From the high resolution picture, you would see all the light mark of those charcoal because at times it gets really light and you should still be able to find it. So out of all this analysis here, at the end, it's fun to see. It's like, okay, how much territory did I cover? But the starting point was here and the exit point was after. Oh, this one was here. Going this way, the other teeth. Where did I go? Maybe here. I should go recheck that video, huh? But eventually all this was closed up and then ended up that way. So it is fun. They're great exercises. And as you see, the important part of this is like you have to spend incredible amount in observation. I think a drawing like this was maybe like 15 minutes. I should go check the video again, or maybe 20, but not that much. If I sped down, if I gave myself 2 hours, I could have took a lot more time in investigating all those empty spaces. Okay. So that is give yourself challenges. Do a blind drawing in 20 minutes. What happens if you do a blind drawing in the same blind drawing in 1 hour? Now you slow down everything. And then you compare those drawings, like which one is the most effective? Is the more details necessarily the better? Not necessarily, right? And the path, the difference in path, that was gonna make is gonna make really the story. Let me see if I can find some example of blind drawing that I can show you, especially the one that they're the same but done with a little distance, and you have like really different drawings. Give me a second. I have a lot of blind drawing from my live drawing class. Yes, this is a good example. Let me open it on Photoshop. So let me share again Photoshop. And actually, I'm going to share my old desktop. We don't need that. Okay. 2021. Okay, so it's a leaning nude, obviously, and it is all within. This is a letter size paper. I'm trying to find the entry point and the exit point. That might be tight. Okay, so it looks like this could be either entry point and exit point, and then you start following the path. I think that was the ending point, or vice versa. Could have been that I went this way, shoulder, armpit, calf shadow. Sorry, that was the deltoid muscle, the calf shadow, the armpit. That's the core shadow that I'm following of the forearm. This is part of the elbow. I didn't go up to check the hand. I went back down to close the form of the arm, the back, and this is probably again just the shadow of the back, not the whole thing. Let me see this one. This, okay, entry point or exit point is here and the other one is there. That's probably the entry point. I'd rather get something that's complex as an entry point. So this was the big toe, analyze the toe, and then I didn't finish the foot. And those are completely blind drawing. I wasn't looking at anything. So it went back down to the thigh, went back up to the split of the gluteus, the crotch, back down on that foot. And this was a very happy coincidence that they didn't cross and they didn't touch and they lined up so beautifully. So that's a good one. Drawing like that, I do frame them. Those are beautiful accent. You get a good blind drawing maybe every, at the beginning when you start, every 10. And then you start getting like good blind drawing every 2 or 3. And when I have a light drawing class, I do one every 5 minutes. Those were all the blind drawings for a show that I did in Fort Myers. I had a lot more than that. There was just one on the wall. Those blind drawings, some of them, you sell them for enough to, for 5 minutes. It's fantastic sell, but it's some of them they're so beautiful that you don't. You keep them. They're just so nice. Okay, so let me see what I have here. Okay, so that would be my exit point. and this would be my entry point. So as you see, eventually your hand, it will feel the edge of the paper when you're about to get out of the paper, and then you manage to make a decision. Either you crop the figure or you decided to go back up and don't run out of the page. I have sketchbooks filled up with blind drawings, and those are very little. That's pretty much, that's a little sketchbook. So you really have to get crafty. Anyway, so I hope that that give you like a sense of how important blind drawings are. They really are, and it makes your drawing process one more enjoyable, and the other one like more artistic. So try them out. Well, you have homework. You have to do them. So that's that. Okay. Ciao.